All right, welcome back to Hard Rock Guitar for Newbies. I'm Alex, and I'm really excited that you're back here again for another lesson. Today, we're going to be getting into amps. Now, before we get started, just a quick disclaimer, there are a ton of different types of amps out there. Whether they're tube amps, solid-state amps, modelers, amp plugins on your computer or your iPad, there's a lot of different types out there. So, to keep things simple and relatively easy for everyone, we're actually going to be using this Friedman JJ Jr. here. It's a 20-watt tube amp, but it's got universal controls here on the front panel. So, these controls here are going to be pretty consistent across the different types of amps out there in the world. So let's go ahead and get started. Right over here, the first knob we're actually going to mess with here is actually the second knob on the panel. It's the master volume control. Now this master volume control is just what it sounds like. You use this to turn up your overall volume. So I'm going to play an open chord here and then slowly roll this up. And you'll hear how that comes in. Also really easy, right? Master volumes are really great on amps. Some amps don't have them, but those are typically like really old school amps that they don't have a master volume control. Now, the second knob we're going to mess with on this amp is right here. It's the gain knob. Now, the gain knob on a high gain amp is generally used to add or remove gain or distortion or overdrive from your amp's sound. So right now, I've got this gain knob set at 12 o'clock, basically straight up and down. And notice as I turn this up, it's going to have a bit more distortion and sort of a saturated sound. So that's how the gain knob works. You'll find a sweet spot on pretty much any amp that you'll be happy with. And of course, if you're not happy with it, you can always boost it with some kind of overdrive pedal. Next up, we've got your EQ controls or equalizer controls. These are your bass, middle, and treble controls that'll help you dial in and shape your sound the way you want to. On this amp, they're found here. It's treble, middle, and bass. You'll notice the treble, of course, controls the high frequencies. And as I play with this, that's what the treble rolled all the way off. That's what the treble rolled all the way up. On this amp, I kind of like it just past 12 o'clock. Kind of a really good rule for dialing in an amp is to start with all the controls at 12 o'clock and then just, make adjustments from there. Also, don't be scared to turn one of these knobs all the way up if it sounds good. Now, just one word of caution. The guitar is generally speaking sort of a mid-range frequency instrument. So if you're playing, in a room, it's just you hanging out and jamming, you might have the bass cranked and the mids pulled out a little bit and the treble cranked way up. But if you notice that when you get with other musicians in a band setting, if you can't hear yourself, your mids are probably too low. Now, the next control on this amp is this right here. It's the presence knob. I like to think of the presence knob kind of like a how close am I to my amp knob, because the further you turn this down, the more it sounds like the amp is in another room or has a big blanket covering the front of the speaker cabinet. So notice here, this is with the presence all the way down. Now I'm going to turn the presence all the way up. You see how much more clarity there is there with the presence cranked? Now, oftentimes if you crank the presence way up like that, it's just going to sound harsh or shrill. It really depends on the amp that you're using and how you have the EQ set. On this amp, for me, the sweet spot is just around 1 o'clock or so. So it sounds kind of like this. I think that actually sounds really good right about there. Now, a lot of amps will have a clean channel, a crunch channel, a lead channel, different kinds of channels. This is a 2-channel amp, so it's got a clean channel and a dirty channel. Right now, of course, we're on the dirty channel. So I'm going to switch over to the clean sound, which is done by flipping the switch right here. And now on a lot of amps, you'll find that the clean channel has its own EQ. On this amp, you just have a switch between option A and option B for the clean channel. Thankfully, they did a really good job of voicing this amp when they built it, so sounds pretty good either way. All right, now on the back of your amp, you're probably going to see a lot of different jacks, output jacks of different types, and even input jacks, depending on what kind of amp you have. There might be switches back there or other things. But one of the most important things to understand are your speaker outputs. Right here, you'll find speaker outputs. There's also a switch that has an 8 with an omega symbol and a 16 with an omega symbol. Now those omega symbols actually pertain to ohms. Ohms are an electrical resistance rating, and you want to make sure you're pairing your amp up with the kind of speaker cab that matches. Is it bad to overmatch or undermatch? Some people will argue you can still get a good sound by doing that, but for your own sanity's sake, you don't want to blow out your amplifier by plugging it into a cab that's not rated for, because that'll actually damage your amp. So make sure they match up. Now, another thing that's extremely important is when you're connecting your amp to a speaker cab, make sure you are using speaker cable. This cable may look like your guitar cable, but trust me, it's way different. It's designed to carry power as opposed to a line level signal. If you use an instrument cable, you will mess up your amp. Don't want to do that. So now you've got a basic rundown on how your amp works. And you know what? You might be saying to yourself, my amp doesn't sound anything like that amp that Alex is using in the video, even when I have the same settings set up on my amp. Yeah, that's true. It's probably not going to sound the same. There are a lot of things that go into your actual guitar tone, and only one of those is the amp. I would argue most importantly, the speaker is going to be the thing that affects your tone the most, because just like a speaker on a stereo or in a car, whatever's coming through it is going to be changed by the shape, the design, the construction of that speaker. But ultimately, your sound is going to come from your amp, your cabinet, whatever mic's being used. All of those things are going to impact your tone. So get in there, start tweaking knobs and flipping switches and messing with your EQ. Your guitar tone is going to be a very personal thing, and you may find that you end up spending years chasing a certain type of sound. It's not going to be something you're ever going to stop messing with. So it's been awesome having you here again today. Keep playing, keep staying awesome, and I'll see you again in the next video.